It seemed like it was just a few days ago on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Todd Pinkney, one of our P1s who came to our Seattle Kraken expansion draft watch party the other night, asks if Monty the Squirrel is going to use the lawnmower 4.0 to trim his nuts. I was thinking more, how about that? But
How about that?
it's not an unreasonable question.
No, it is not.
Monty the Squirrel. Can we get that done up by the end of the show? And I'm in favor of your mom sewing the costume this time.
You are?
Yes.
Are you watching?
Paula?
She's probably watching.
What's going on back here? They're all laughing back there. Oh, I'd wonder. Oh.
Because then you paused. And I was like, this in favor of her. What?
I know. I heard them bust out laughing. I'm like, what are you?
And then you sewing the costume, and it's like, just disarmed me. I'm like, okay, we're good. She can sew the costume.
I'm in favor of your mom.
What? Say it. Say it.
Stay tuned, sit back, enjoy. Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're brawling this team, and the guy yells over the glass, "Go back to the NHL, Preston, you loser." Can't even say it with a straight face.
It was a good beak when we'd roll into a bigger center. They'd say, go back to Wynyard. Go back to the NFL where I was making more money and doing that. I'd like to. Thank you very much.
Where I was flying on the charter with the double wide leather suits and the filet mignon.
Yeah, working on it.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It absolutely is. Welcome inside the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk show, coming at you live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE radio, podcast, and streaming. And I'm going to tell you right now, as we set sail on this Monday, episode number 1105 of the RP Show, we have breaking news today. News out of Winnipeg from the National Hockey League. Rick Bowness is taking a leave of absence from the Winnipeg Jets, and this was announced by the team. I don't see any insiders jumping all over that, but that just gives us a little bit of a topic here as we get ready to talk sports for the next 2 hours. Coming up on the program today from ESPN Cincinnati Radio, Mo Egger, the radio rights holder of the Cincinnati Bengals, and Sean Simpson, longtime NHL broadcaster, scout, minor league goalie. Sean Simpson will be joining us from Ottawa to talk about those Sens. But let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont. And you and I had a few good chats since we've last been on the air. And we were saying something changed over the last couple of weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, where something's changed. And I don't know what that is. It's a good thing, Moose. Our numbers have gone crazy. Our social media numbers have gone crazy. But there's a lot of new people watching the show that don't know that we've been going for 1,105 episodes. And you remember way back at the start, 5 years ago, when I said, I used to lay awake at night worried about what we were going to talk about. That lasted about a week because I woke, I realized, what's the point? Because you wake up the next day and everything changes. Welcome to 2023 in the news cycle, man. Yesterday's news is literally yesterday's news. I think Elon Musk tweeted about that over the weekend. So thoughts on Rick Bowness leaving the Winnipeg Jets?
Yeah, this is tough. I thought, and I said this on the show, that something's changed over there too. With Scheifele and Hellebuck re-signing, they're not re-signing saying we're only going to re-sign if the coach goes. The culture has to have shifted and gone to the better for them to re-sign and commit to Winnipeg and Rick Bowness being there. So the changes they made in the offseason and last year have obviously been enough. Things are going right. So this, on the surface, just makes me concerned for Rick Bowness, him personally, sure, his family. I hope everything's okay. I don't feel like this, on the surface, is hockey related. I'm going to wait for more info, but my thoughts are with Rick Bowness today.
It just moved across the sports wire moments ago, just before we went to air. So I haven't even seen a statement yet. from the Jets. I'm with you. We hope for the best for Rick Bowness. Other than that, it's a private matter. It's his privacy and the Jets, and I'm not going to sit here and dig and try and find out why he's taking a leave of absence from the team. You know, everybody's going to want to know, but it's not going to come from here. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan, and then we'll go down the usual path that we were going on. But I do want to tell you, 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here in the studio. EMJ Marketing text line 902-518-3033. If anything has piqued your interest, you got any questions, let us know. How do you think the Jets will fare without him? Man, what a way to start the day. We're opening with baseball, and a rematch of last year's World Series could be set after tonight's Championship Series games. The defending champion Houston Astros host the Texas Rangers in Game 7 of the ALCS. The visiting teams won every game so far. And in the NLCS, it's Game 6 between Philadelphia and Arizona, with the Phillies leading 3-2. Houston beat Philly in 6 games in last year's Fall Classic. This might be enough to get me to pick up and take notice. Game 7, no matter the league, gets us all interested, right? And there's only one NHL game tonight. The Monday Nighter in the NFL ain't that sexy, really. 49ers, Vikings. So I might be in line to watch some Game 7 of the ALCS. We moved to the National Hockey League, and weekend leftovers. Again, this Rick Bowness news has kind of knocked us all on our keister. The head coach of the Winnipeg Jets taking a leave of absence from the team. This just a couple of days after what knocked everybody else on their butt, quite literally and figuratively. The Edmonton Oilers are expected to be without star forward Connor McDavid for 1 to 2 weeks due to an upper body injury. McDavid, who's totaled 2 goals and 6 assists in 5 games this season, was injured Saturday night in that 3-2 overtime loss to the Winnipeg Jets. He missed the last few minutes of the third and didn't play in the extra period. I guess the Oilers are going to update the media at some point this afternoon. So I know it's morning out there in Western Canada, where we're very big. That's what the analytics tell us, Moose. So unless you have anything new, I don't. I'm kind of sitting here thinking I'm just glad it's not a more serious injury. You?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, you're happy it's not more serious. And for Edmonton, where it feels like the walls are on fire, the house is on fire after losing in overtime to Winnipeg and the slow start to start the season, and now the best player in the game is going to be out for at least a week or two. The good news, you hope this is getting all the negative stuff out of the way early in the season. Get it out of the way early so you can build off of this as you move forward. But it's not the start that a Stanley Cup contender is looking to have.
The Oilers at 1-3-1. Well,
yeah,
it's interesting you say that. And he's, as I said, he's got 8 points in 5 games. So he could miss 2 weeks and allow everybody to catch up. So he's going to miss the Heritage Classic, it looks like, and that's not good for the Oilers or the National Hockey League. But we'll see what happens today. Maybe it'll be a shorter-term injury. Maybe it'll be a longer-term injury. By the way, our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. They're in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. They're a stone's throw from the old Crossroads Flea Market, too. I swear, if this was ESPN's Get Up, but a hockey version, because they don't really do this on the NHL network, and unfortunately, you don't have the ability to watch that. But my point is, you know, early front runners. I guess the point that I'm getting to, it's today's poll question for Key Auto Group, and we might as well get that out of the way right now. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. And this is how this show is different from every other one. And I'll tell you why in a moment for the millions of new viewers that we have across Canada and the United States. Number one, the poll question is, which one of these early NHL front runners is the most for real? The Detroit Red Wings, who are 5-1. The Philadelphia Flyers, who are 3-1-1. The Vancouver Canucks, who are 3-2. Or the Arizona Coyotes, who are also 3-2. In a moment, we'll bring Moose on as soon as they can. You know, in reading the game notes, the Arizona Coyotes are off to their best start since 2016. And that's 3-2. That tells you how they haven't been that hot really forever. But which of these teams is the most for real? So the other night, you know, and not everybody needs to know the little family thing we got going on now at the Florida Panthers games in the press box. Other than to say, Serena was there, and Bill Lindsay comes down, Billy, my new best friend, and he's got his iPad out. And they were playing Vancouver. Darren, think about this for a second. And everybody, gather around. This isn't a bunch of talking head nerds talking about analytics and stats here, although we kind of are going to. Billy's got his laptop out, or his iPad. He's got his glasses on. He's like me now. That's where we're at in life. And he goes, look at this, Rod. This is from NHL Network. This is Mike Kelly's website. And he's got the Canucks lead the NHL in dump-ins at 68%. And the Florida Panthers are at 69% on offensive zone time, even though they're not scoring on the power play, blah, 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 blah. And he's going through all these stats and analytics. And I'm like, well, this is pretty good, Bill. But what's the point? Like, you know, you've been around this as long as me. We used to just track this by hand. And he just gave me this look. And I'm like, oh, wait, you don't have to actually go scout the opponent anymore. You can just type in their team name and all these stats will come up. Like, it's nice to know that the Canucks are going to dump it in 68% of the time that they got the puck at your blue line. That's nice to know. We used to actually have scouting for this, Darren. And that's my point, is that like you used to have to actually do the work. Now Mike Kelly's done it from NHL Network, and you can just subscribe to it and get all these numbers. So anyways, Vancouver won the game the other night 5-3. And, of course, you know us. We left the press box with 10 minutes to go and then left the rink with 5 minutes to go. And Bill Lindsay's dad was there, and he was like, you're going to miss the big ending. I'm like, I'm okay with that. And it was a big ending. The Canucks won 5-3. So what my assessment on the Vancouver Canucks is that they made their young team silly mistakes. And I've seen them play enough live, as have you, the last couple of years. Once they make those mistakes, they usually just fold. And they're done. They check out. What's different under Rick Tocchet and what I saw Saturday night at FLA Live Arena is that they didn't check out. They regrouped. They didn't come undone or lose their composure after making silly little mistakes, which every team does. The Panthers made their share, too. This is a team that won the Eastern Conference last year. So I'm impressed with the Vancouver Canucks. But having said all of that, Detroit's my vote for the team that's the most real of these early front runners at 5-1. Who would you vote for?
I'm voting for Detroit as well. And, you know, I would like to not agree with you and go in a different direction because I like Vancouver too. But you look at the way Detroit's winning. They're not just winning games and getting by. They beat Calgary 6-2. Alex DeBrincat leads the league in goals. DeBrincat, along with Dylan Larkin, are 1-2 in scoring in the league. So they're actually going about this the right way. It feels like their development is taking a step forward. The organization's trending in the right way. We talk about, you know, laying bricks and building a foundation. This doesn't feel like the bottom's going to fall out. It feels like they have a foundation, and they're doing it the right way. And I give a lot of that credit to Steve Yzerman.
Oh, well, of course. Who didn't think at some point the Red Wings were going to be front runners? And it appears that they're here. I thought they were going to take that step forward last year. They didn't. Not to the degree that I thought they would, but it looks like they have this year. By the way, thank you to John McPhee and Ward McPherson, both texting in on the 902 line. They have said health concerns for Rick Bowness's wife. Confirmed. Thoughts and prayers. I believe the Jets made a statement on this. With Rick Bowness stepping away from the team, taking a leave of absence. It's due to his wife's health. So, indeed, thoughts and prayers to Mrs. Bowness, the entire Bowness family, and the Winnipeg Jets will pull it together in his absence for sure. That's the most important thing. I will say this. I'm going to save the CFL talk for the next segment. We got lots of time left in this segment. My guy, Chris Sanford, by the way, texted me this morning. Of all the things I got running through my brain, he's excited that his Giants won. The Giants won, he says. Miracles happen. Well, coming out of Week 7 in the NFL, this was my thing. I went to bed last night before the Sunday night game kicked off. I told you this, Dolphins and Eagles. I was able to sleep for an hour and a half. Then I woke up, couldn't sleep. Came out, it was only halftime. So what I saw was Jalen Hurts rebounded from a pick six to hit A.J. Brown with a go-ahead touchdown on the next drive, and he threw for 279 yards and a combined 3 scores to lead the Eagles to a 31-17 win over the Miami Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. The Super Bowl teams from last season, the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, are the only 6-1 teams in the National Football League. So, Chris Sanford, I know we've mentioned the Giants. That's all we're going to talk about on the Giants. It was the Washington Commanders that they beat. Those divisional games were important. My Cowboys reside in that NFC East, so whoever was going to win wasn't a good thing for the Cowboys. But I couldn't believe this. I was tooling around a little bit listening to the radio this morning in Miami today, and they're all bitching about the officiating in the game last night. And that's why you do need to watch the games, Darren. And you said you did. I watched enough. I watched a half. They lost 31-17. Is their worst offensive showing of the year at 17 points. I think they only had 7 yards rushing at halftime. And you're going to bitch about the officiating? What is this, Edmonton? What is this, Saskatchewan? It wasn't the officiating that cost the Miami Dolphins the game. So it was a humbling showing for the Dolphins. And now they're 5-2, which is still really good, Darren, and leading the AFC, but, well, I guess the Chiefs are. I think those two will be the last two standing in the end. But that's it. They've had 2 humblings now, the Dolphins. They're that good. You know that. But they suck when they go on the road. When they got to go up north and play, they suck. So hopefully we're almost at the halfway point. Anyway, enough of my thoughts. Yours on the Dolphins getting creamed or any other Week 7 action in the NFL.
Officiating wasn't the issue at all, and sometimes you need this. They bounced back before. They'll do it again. I thought this game was a lot closer than the score indicates. There was a chance in that second half. Well, you mentioned it. They never got the run game going in the first half. That was the biggest issue. They got it going in the second half, and they were driving to try and tie the game, and Tua threw his only interception of the game. That changed it because Philadelphia came down and scored, and the game was over. It was a 2-score game. And you're not coming back. So that was big. The other one from the weekend, Baltimore has really turned it on since the London games. They're rolling. They beat Detroit, who many had considered maybe the new best team in the National Football League. Detroit took it on the chin, so we'll see how they respond. But overall, it was a good Sunday. It was a quiet Sunday because it was the 1 week with the most teams on the bye. So, but overall, pretty good weekend.
Mo Egger on the way from Cincinnati, ESPN Radio, to talk some NFL. Sean Simpson from Ottawa to talk about the Senators. And when we come back, we'll have a lot of CFL talk because it's ramping up into the most exciting time of the year for them. I had an NHL guy say to me last week, because it's the Canadians that stick together down here for the most part. And Chris Sanford will take you as a Northerner, as a honorary Canadian. Guy said to me, you talk a lot of CFL, eh? I'm like, yeah, because I love it. And I will always talk about the CFL. We will not be CFL first on this show because I'd starve. But we're still going to talk about it more than any other show on television or radio. And for the new viewers, you know, we had Allie from Texas. She wrote me because she was able to get her comment to Ricky Williams the other day. And people are saying, it's unbelievable that you bring on these huge sports names and we're able to talk to them. I'm like, it's so cool, right? There still is no other show like it. And that's why we're number 1 on this network. Number 1 talk show. Cash Cab still number 1. We got to flatten that guy's tires, Moose, in the cab. We're halfway through the warm-up. We'll be back after this quick timeout on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Brand new week opens right here, right now in the RP Show. And by the way, guys, Manscaped has done it again. Introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new, not for your junk, it's for up top. And like every Manscaped product, tons of thoughts gone into it. Sleek, compact, about the size of your iPhone. It charges by USB, very easily fits into your shaving kit for road trips. And right now, with a promo code RP Show, VRP Show. Get it right, VRP Show, you get 20% off and free shipping. So you're going to pay that amount, the normal amount in any store for a razor. Why not get a discount and get the best one out there? You heard it, manscaped.com. We're proud to partner with them, the worldwide leader in below-the-waist grooming. Let's bring in the Moose now, and there is breaking news. We have more details on this. This is what's great about daytime sports talk TV. We're just so pleased to be with you on Game Plus TV and WQEE Radio. Winnipeg Jets head coach Rick Bowness is taking a leave of absence from the team. His decision comes after his wife Judy had a stroke Sunday night. She remains in hospital and is undergoing further testing. Associate coach Scott Arniel will serve as the Jets' interim head coach in Bowness's absence. He has a 48-35-3 record since becoming Winnipeg's coach ahead of the 2023 NHL season. And I'm not going to call out the Winnipeg viewer now because it would just be, I don't know what the proper term would be, fortuitous for me to do now. But the guy that was all over Bowness before they even entered the season, right, saying he's too old, he's too this, we need a younger, more vibrant coach. What are you talking about? They went into Edmonton the other night and won in overtime, which incidentally, I watched a lot of that game where the Oilers not up 2-0. I thought it was over. For sure, 2-1. Jets came back and won in overtime and a Scheifele goal. He's got him going. And of course, there's nothing more important than what he's dealing with at home right now. So just speedy recovery for Judy. He's doing a hell of a job. And I had a problem with people jumping on Rick Bowness from the jump. I think they're going to be heard from before this is over, Darren. What do you think of the Winnipeg Jets?
You know what? I'm very optimistic. I think the future's bright. And I think, we talked about the fan base, and it's been, all across North America about the seats. I think they'll catch on because you get, I think this is a real big sign, the Scheifele and Hellebuck thing. That's why I keep going back to it. Them signing is a signal that the culture's good, and Rick Bowness there with your biggest stars, I think it's moving in the right direction. I think it's going to continue to move in the right direction, and they're going to be a team, that's going to be dangerous. They're going to be really dangerous.
I'm smiling because it's taking me a while, but I'm getting my sanity back, and it's great. And what I mean by that is, Jason in Red Deer says the Oilers were up 2-0 and flying. Yes, they were. That's the part that I saw. That's when I came back from the Panthers and Canucks. Went to bed. I couldn't believe. Got up the next morning. I said to Serena, the Jets won. She's like, what? She's, of course, the biggest Oilers fan ever. So she was shocked by that, but he's got him playing great. From Cy Pal Kurt, that's the name on the streaming. He writes it and says, Rod, officiating's been hit and miss in the NFL and CFL. In the NFL, there have been missed calls that favored certain teams, and video replays have proven it. I know, and that's why I don't want to talk about it. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to talk about it.
Welcome to
There's
sports
no
for
better
every
way
day for the last 50 years.
Yeah, there's no better way to say, and it's comments like this that make me lose my sanity. Saying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting people are going to get it. The point is you're never going to get it, so let's stop talking about it. There's a human element to officiating. I can understand them blowing a call, whether a guy's foot's inbounds or out, or whether a puck was high-sticked or whatever. That's fine. When you're looking at it a naked eye, with how fast the games are going now, what I never understood was how they can blow it on replays. You got 37 angles, high definition, and slow-mo, and you still screw it up. Tells me two things. One, you are either biased. You've either got it in for the team, which is possible. I would like to think that's not the case, but I hear that it could be. Or two, they screwed that up because they're human. And guess what? We make mistakes. Breaking news. Humans aren't perfect. Film at 11. I'm getting to the Kevin the Medium says, we need a cab company sponsor. LOL. Speaking of cab. How about we get Uber or Lyft? You never met our neighbor here, Gail. Did you, Moose, did you meet him?
No, I didn't.
He drives drives for a private company. So it's not Uber or Lyft, but I'm like, I'm not sure that I would want a cab company sponsoring this program. Because we might as well have brought to you by Blockbuster and Checker Cab. Are they still in business? You know what I'm saying,
Like
right?
the old Rogers video. Yeah, exactly.
Brought to you by Kodak Film.
Get your photos developed today.
518-3033. No, we're okay with a cab company. No offense to Cash Cab, but what company is his cab? Do we know? Is it Checker?
I don't know.
Is it United? Is it Capital Cabs? Huh?
Good question.
You guys in the control room at Game Plus, wake up. Can you find out what cab company Cash Cab is?
And how do I get a ride?
I want to say, yeah, I'll stop there because I promised that we would get into the Canadian Football League stuff. And just so you people know, I've been fielding calls and texts. I've been receiving them. I haven't been responding to them for the last 3-4 days. We're not on this show going to get into the speculation of who's going to be the next this or next that with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I don't want any part of it. People are like, who's going, who's getting fired? I care, but I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and get in the minutia of what does Randy Travis say? As long as all women sit and talk. As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, and as long as old women sit and talk about old men, for as long as old football guys are going to sit around and talk about who's replacing who, I'm not going to do that. They should have cleaned house a year ago, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This has been an unfathomable implosion to miss the playoffs this year, and the majority of our audience doesn't care. I know it's really big news in Saskatchewan, and I'll talk about it on my website, talk about it a little bit on social media, but for the next however long it takes before they make a decision here, I'm not going to sit here every day and talk about it, because everybody else deserves better than them screwing up their franchise and then sucking our airtime out of what they're going to do next when they don't even know. You?
Yeah, I agree. And, you might as well, in my head, rolling over and over and over now is Randy Travis. I'm gonna love you forever. Right? You might as well listen to that song on repeat than talk about who's going to be the next coach of the Riders, because they haven't fired anybody yet. Contracts haven't been announced that they're not being renewed. So, you'll be in a lot better spirit if you just put on Randy Travis on repeat than if you spend your time worried about what's going to happen until the time comes that they're making those decisions or announce that they're interviewing for new head coaches. Then we'll talk about it.
Mark K. The guy's name is Mark K. He writes in, he says, I'm watching from 39,000 feet on the way to Toronto from Edmonton. Your show is entertaining, informative, and some life advice thrown in. Love it. Do you have a sound effect for that, Clark?
How about that?
Approved.
Damn.
That too. All of them.
Beautiful.
That's exactly what we want people to think. And to sit here and talk about, are they going to hire Jim Barker? Are they going to hire Mike Kelly? Are they going to fire this? Mark K doesn't care. How long's McDavid going to be out? What's wrong with the Leafs? If anything. Ryan in upstate New York says, the RP show sponsored by typewriters. Oh, my God. For my 16th birthday, I thought I was getting a new blocker and trapper for Christmas. Did I ever tell you that story? I got a frickin' typewriter.
Yeah.
My parents knew. They knew. Here's another life advice. Your parents always know. I pray for you that they'll still be alive when you figure that out. Thank God mine were. They were still alive. Hopefully, Darren, by the time you figure it out, I hope your parents are still alive. You got a ways to go. What? For those that are just logging on, breaking news out of Winnipeg, Rick Bowness is taking a leave of absence from the team, and our prayers and thoughts are with the Bowness family and the Jets. His wife, Judy, suffering a seizure Sunday night. Was it a seizure or a stroke? I had it here, and I do have it here. I want to clarify that. She remains a stroke. Sure? No, a stroke. I got it right here from the Canadian Press. She remains in hospital and is undergoing further testing. Scott Arneal is taking over because they're off to what I would say is a tremendous start, the Winnipeg Jets. Robert Campbell is watching in Las Vegas. And he says, RP, there's one Blockbuster store left in Bend, Oregon. They probably could use a shout-out. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, the best damn show right here, period. Randolph in Toronto says, do you think Wayne Huizinga is selling pencils on the street now? No, I think Wayne Huizinga, number one's dead, and number two, his kids have a suite at Hard Rock Stadium where the Dolphins play, because I see it. It's like 3 suites wide. He's fine. But I will say this. I did go into the gas station in my hometown. Oh, my God, have I got a story for you. We have time here that I can tell it. I went into the gas station in my hometown, and they're still renting DVDs there. This was like within the last year. About exactly a year ago, actually. I went up to the till. I said, you're kidding me. And the guy goes, well, we don't have internet out in the farm, rural areas, so they rent DVDs. I'm like, my God, it's still happening. Number two, I never told you that I gave 2 Leaf fans a ride to the Panthers game last week. I didn't tell you that, did I?
No.
Guy was making his way across the parking lot of the Sawgrass Mills Mall, and I stopped. I said, can I help you guys? They said, which way to the rink? I said, follow this SUV around. It's that way, west. And I say, as a matter of fact, just get in with me. So they got in with me. I got to make this quick. I took him to the rink. It's a very interesting story. And they're like, what's your deal? I said, I live down here. But I said, I do a show, but I'm originally, they're like, where are you from? I said, you're not going to believe this, but a small town, little town in Saskatchewan. The lady goes, I'm from Moose Jaw. I'm like, shut up. Nope. Her dad was an Air Force pilot, met her mom at Moose Jaw, and they met her husband, I think his name's Fred or Frank, in Toronto in the bar. She said it was a bit of a seedy story, and now they live in Mississauga. And I gave them, the problem was, I was at the game, Serena wasn't. She left her purse in my car, this lady. So the next morning, Serena gets in her car, stomps up to me and goes, why is there a pink purse in the car?
Oh.
How much time you got? Yeah, that happened. That happened. Anyways, we got the lady. Yeah, we'll finish it later. We got to run. Mo Egger's in next. See you in hour 2, Moose.
You bet. Yeah.
We're going to talk some NFL next with our good friend Mo Egger. He's very big in Canada, maybe bigger in Canada than Ohio. Mo Egger from ESPN Radio Cincinnati joins us next on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Live from South Florida, the RP Show continues. Couple topics on the in the air. Jeremy Davis from the control room of Game Plus TV regarding Cash Cab. They're the #1 rated television show on this channel. We're the #2 rated show. Can I say we're the #1 rated talk show? I said, what cab company is it from Cash Cab? Jeremy Davis says, I believe the cab company on the old episodes was Beck Taxi. Not sure if it still is with the reboot Anthem is working on. Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for paying attention to our show there in the control room. And out of Winnipeg, Rick Bowness taking a leave of absence from the Winnipeg Jets. His wife, Judy, suffering a stroke Sunday night. Scott Arneal taking over thoughts and prayers with the family and the Jets. Let's go to Ohio now. Mo Egger joins us. Isn't it nice when the guy operating the show is paying attention, Mo? Have you ever had moments when he's not or she's not? I'm sure you have.
You know, the moments where he or she has been paying attention have been few and far between. But frankly, if you've listened to our show, can you blame them? By the way, is that your boat? Is that your ride? Is that your boat?
Nah, working on it. That's not mine. It's a friend's.
You have a bigger boat than that, huh?
How about that?
Yeah, exactly. It's on the way. Yes, hey, I did wake up this morning, Mo, and say, you know what? Breaking news. I have absolutely zero complaints. Zero complaints. It's a nice way to be. Neither did the Bengals coming out of Week 7 because they didn't play, right?
Well, if a bye week can go poorly, I think it did for the Bengals because everybody in their division won, and when you're looking up at everybody else, you're hoping for help, and you thought maybe you could get it from the Detroit Lions. Instead, they were non-competitive. You thought you were going to get it from the Indianapolis Colts, and lo and behold, the Browns scored in the last half minute, and I thought they were going to get it from the LA Rams. Unfortunately, I forgot that the Rams have no home field advantage. It sounded and felt like the Steelers' postseason game, and that defense does just enough to give them a shot. Sean McVay burns through his timeout, so he can't challenge a bad spot. And everybody else in the AFC North wins, and now the Bengals have to go to San Francisco. Their schedule is about to get a lot more difficult, but they are healthy, and they have won 3 out of 4.
Yeah, well, you knew... Did we not before this season? You probably don't remember because you talk so much NFL. It might have got lost in the wash, but didn't we kind of agree the AFC North might be the toughest division in the National Football League, and that has kind of proven to be the case.
Yes, I think the scary thing is, Baltimore is where they are, and up until yesterday, really hadn't performed at the level that everybody expected offensively. And I think the scary thing about him from a Cincinnati perspective is they're going to get healthier. Offensively, they're going to get better. Now, they were terrific yesterday, but you've lost a game head-to-head against them, and so they've got some ground to make up, and to do it head-to-head, they're going to have to win in Baltimore on a short week, a week from, 2 weeks from Thursday. So it's about to get difficult. Yeah, look, we knew that to win this division, you were going to have to survive a gauntlet of just intra-divisional opponents. I think the good news, though, is this. I still don't look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and see a team that's capable of winning 10 games. Week to week, are they tough to play? Yes, it's a Mike Tomlin coach team. The Browns, as terrific as they are defensively, and Myles Garrett yesterday pretty much defensively did it all by himself. He was fantastic. Their quarterback situation still remains weird, and they don't have their best player, Nick Chubb. Now, they can still run the ball effectively. Former UC Bearcat Jerome Ford carried the mail for them yesterday afternoon. I think the scary team is Baltimore, and I still feel like you are being fair if you believe this division's going to come down to Cincinnati or Baltimore. But right now, the Bengals have a 1.5-game deficit. Their schedule's about to get tough. They have little margin for error. And I think from a Bengals perspective, Rod, the bigger deal isn't so much what everybody else is doing. It's, can this offense round into form? Because what we know right now is Jamar Chase is great. There's really nothing else offensively the Bengals have been able to hang their hats on.
I'll tell you what, though, unless I've misread this, and tell me if I have, The last couple of years, it seemed like Kansas City was on a collision course with the Eagles, and the year before that, the 49ers for the Super Bowl. This year, I feel like the field is way more wide open than has been in a long time in both conferences. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think so. You know, there were folks here kind of talking prematurely about the 49ers maybe going undefeated. I think what we have seen is that the top of the NFC is a lot better than people kind of gave it credit for. San Francisco is very good. You saw the Eagles, I think, last night finally start to look like the Eagles that we saw last season. Despite what happened yesterday, Detroit is still a very tough out. I think as well-rounded a team as you might find in the NFC, perhaps with the exception of San Francisco, Seattle is very, very good. I think that the quality and the relative depth in the NFC has stood out relative to kind of how we talked about that the league was one-sided before the year began. And then I think in the AFC, I think we're still trying to figure out, okay, how good really is Miami? You know, they've beaten bad teams. Last night they had a chance to go on the road and stand toe-to-toe with a good team, and they certainly didn't get embarrassed. But how good are they? Can they go on the road and win in the postseason? What do we make of the Buffalo Bills, who I think have played unevenly? I think the scary thing is you talked about the Chiefs. Number one, it feels like Patrick Mahomes is now quarterbacking a team that has a great defense. Kansas City hasn't given up more than 21 points in a game so far this year. They've won 6 straight despite being sort of uneven on offense. Travis Kelce remains great. You know that as the season moves along, and we saw some of it yesterday, that team is going to get better and better offensively, and they're not trying to play catch-up. They've separated themselves from everybody in the pack in the AFC West. They look like a good bet to get home field advantage. And Bengals fans will tell you, having gone there each of the last 2 years for the AFC Championship game, it's not a place you want to have to go and win. And so I think that's kind of the scary thing, that for all the balance we have, in the AFC, a Kansas City team that is really spent the first half of the season trying to find its way offensively has lost just one game.
Well, you mentioned the Dolphins, and that's where I'm at. And to be honest, I think they needed a little humbling, and they got it last night. They needed it a few weeks ago in Buffalo, and they got it. Listen, they scored 70 points earlier this year. All I hear about is undeniable their talent, right, and their finesse and all that, but they don't like to get dirty. And you're not going to win anything until you get dirty. And I think the Eagles had a plan for Tyreek Hill last night. You watched the game. They got in his face. Yeah. They were physical on him. This is a team that doesn't like it when the going gets rough. And at some point, it's going to.
Yeah, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see what has to happen or what will happen if they have to go on the road in the postseason. And chances are they will have to. I think, you know, they played on a Sunday night. I think it was a Sunday night earlier this year against the Patriots. And say what you want about that team, but, you know, they sort of said the same thing. We're going to take Tyreek Hill away, and you saw the Dolphins employ a really well-put-together, well-constructed, well-designed power running attack. But that's obviously not how they want to play. And so, you know, look, again, they've done a great job of beating up against inferior opponents. I think Chris Collinsworth on the broadcast last night said, you know, Miami had beaten teams that were combined 5-24. I'd have to go back, I guess, and check that math, although far be it for me to question somebody like Chris Collinsworth. But in their 2 most high-profile games, they've lost by double figures. And I think that's going to loom over the season as we talk about whether or not they can legitimately go on the road and beat big boy teams. I think flying under the radar in the AFC, Rod, the Jacksonville Jaguars, you know, I think we're among the bigger disappointments in the NFL for the first couple of weeks. And here they are at 5-2. They have a lot of weapons on offense. They've played their London games. It's not a very good division. You know, look, Jacksonville wins a playoff game last year. They stood toe-to-toe for a while against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. The Bengals here play them on a Monday night in early December. I think that game's going to be fascinating. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. And yet it feels like they're just beneath the radar as we discuss Baltimore and the ups and downs of the Bengals and Kansas City and Miami and Buffalo, and even to a degree the Chargers, who are always talked about but never win anything. I think we spend so much time on those teams that here are the Jaguars quite quietly with a very good head coach, a very good quarterback, and a good roster, and it feels like they're starting to put things together.
I'm with you. I love the Jags, too. Hashtag Duval. Mo, always plenty of food for thought. Let's do it again soon. Thank you, brother.
What? Come down. Let me come down and ride around on the boat with you, right? I mean, not, you know.
Anytime.
just we could broadcast from the boat. You could do your show, I could do my show, and really there would be no reason for me to leave. I'll pack a cooler. We'll have a great time.
Have I ever acted like I don't want that to happen? Let's put our heads together, Mo.
Let's do it. All right. Very good.
All right. The great Mo Egger from ESPN Cincinnati. We'll be back with Audience Takeover and a sports update right after this on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, we got a quickie here, a sports update. We ring this bell for breaking news. Winnipeg Jets head coach Rick Bowness is taking a leave of absence from the team. His decision comes today after his wife Judy had a stroke Sunday night. She remains in Winnipeg Hospital and is undergoing further testing. Associate coach Scott Arniel will serve as the Jets' interim head coach in Rick's absence. So we wish them all well. Speedy recovery, Judy. There will be a do-or-die Game 7 in Houston tonight in the American League Championship Series. Max Scherzer will pitch for the Rangers while Christian Javier will start for the Astros. The home team has yet to win a game in this series. This one here will get me interested tonight in a Game 7, I think. 8:03 Eastern first pitch. Right, Chris Sanford, my buddy who's watching right now from the Bronx. He's a baseball guy. I grew up playing it. I love the sport. There's a lot of other things tugging for my attention, but Game 7 will get my attention. The Philadelphia Phillies are aiming to clinch their second straight trip to the World Series tonight when they host the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 6 of the NLCS. The Phillies send Aaron Nola to the hill while Merrill Kelly starts for the Diamondbacks in a matchup of right-handers. And the San Francisco 49ers will be looking to join the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles as the only NFL teams with 6-1 records when they visit the Minnesota Vikings tonight. The Vikes are 2-4. But how about this? Winless at U.S. Bank Stadium, 0-3. That is your Monday Night Football matchup. Sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing, the high-quality beer behind great conversation and unforgettable memories. Visit commoncrown.ca. And I do have to say this about my guy, Chris Sanford. We were talking the other day. I got embroiled. I was just witnessing, he's a military guy, a conversation with another military person. And I'm like, oh, you talk about other things than the Giants. He goes, I talk about military. I talk with Virginia. When I want to hear about the Canadian Football League, I talk to you. So, yes, I continue to be the CFL guy. I'll get to great comments coming in here. I might have to push into hour 2. I got to push into hour 2. 902-518-3033 is the text line. The Rick in Calgary watching. Rick Blackburn writes, and he says, Rod, on your poll, you include the Canucks, asking which of these teams are for real. But you haven't included the more surprising Flyers. Have I not, Clark? That's on the poll. The options are Vancouver, Detroit, Arizona, and Philadelphia. Which of these teams are the most for real? On Twitter, that's the options. And please don't get offended. Who was the guy that wrote in me? Some guy got mad that I didn't mention the Prince Albert Raiders, my former junior hockey team, in my weekend poll. And I'm like, bro, stop. He goes, sad you didn't mention the Raiders. I'll show you sad, bro. I'll show you sad. It ain't that I didn't mention your team, your junior hockey team. Brian in Hudson Bay writes in and says, happy Monday, Rod and gang. The Riders are done. The offseason should be more interesting than the product on the field has been the last couple of years. At least they showed up on Saturday. And he says, my Red Wings appear to be back. I'm liking that it's been a while. Hi, Wings. Have a great week. Detroit's for real. You knew it was a matter of time with Steve Eisenman running the show. The question is, how long was it going to take? They are for real. Is Vancouver? They're showing good signs. I'm not ready to say the Vancouver Canucks are for real yet. And I'm definitely not ready to say the Philadelphia Flyers are. And I'd say there's no way the Arizona Coyotes are, even though they're off to their best start since 2016. So lots to get to after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We're brawling this team, and the guy yells over the glass, "Go back to the NHL, Preston, you loser." Can't even say it with a straight face.
It was a good beak when we'd roll into a bigger center, and they'd say, "Go back to Wynyard. Go back to the NFL, where I was making more money and doing that." I'd like to. Thank you very much.
Where I was flying on the charter with the double wide leather seats and the filet mignon.
Yeah, working on it.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It absolutely is, everybody, and welcome inside for hour two of your favorite daytime sports talk show. It's, okay, well, we got to clarify a few things here. I'm in South Florida. Let's clarify that. And John Frenzy, they're writing in here about John Frenzy. We'll get to that in a moment. Darren Moose DuPont's in Toronto. Clark, would you please clarify to me where you're hearing the Saskatchewan Roughriders will not be renewing the contract of head coach Craig Dickinson? Because I don't see it anywhere. Okay, so Blaine Weiland is tweeting it. Okay, because I just did a quick Twitter search on that. So that's what they're saying. The radio rights holder of the Saskatchewan Roughriders announcing that the head coach Craig Dickinson will not have his contract renewed. In other news, water's wet and the sky is blue.
Bingo!
We'll get to that. There's news out of Winnipeg. Rick Bowness is taking a leave of absence from the Winnipeg Jets National Hockey League team as his wife Judy suffered a stroke last night. So definitely thoughts and prayers are with the Bowness family and the Jets as they get through this. And what a great start the Jets have had. I could sit and do an easy 15-minute monologue on a lot of things here, Darren. And thank you, Clark, for telling me in my ear that David Naylor has just tweeted it as well. So we're talking about some iconic Canadian sports franchises here in the news today. And well, let me go on because it is the Rod Pedersen Show. Then you can chime in your thoughts. We spent a lot of time in hour one on the Rick Bowness situation and how great the Jets have been. Coming back to beat the Oilers on Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night, the game of the night. And then that happened. Tough, but they'll make it through. With the Saskatchewan Roughriders, this is breaking news, I guess, that it happened, but it is a formality. Craig Dickinson's contract was expiring, and as much as I really have a lot of love and affection for Craig Dickinson as a person, there is no way, zero way he was coming back. Even Craig Dickinson would have known after ending the last 2 seasons on identical 7-game losing streaks and missing the playoffs. There was no way. And when I heard this today, my second or third thought was, is this it? Because it might be it. The general manager, Jeremy O'Day's contract, I believe, is expiring too, but there's no news on him today. So on this day, the first of the offseason for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I'll allow it because there's a lot of other things going on. There's a Game 7 in the ALCS tonight between the Rangers and the Astros. There's Monday Night Football. There's NHL play. All 32 teams are playing Tuesday in the NHL, and quite frankly, they deserve the coverage too. But I'll allow it on this first day of the offseason for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I said it on Saturday, and now would be a good time to reiterate it. This brain trust has taken the Saskatchewan Roughriders from being the flagship marquee franchise of the league to the worst team in the league. That's not just Craig Dickinson. They're pointing the finger at Craig Dickinson, just like they pointed the finger last year at Cody Fajardo and Jason Maas, who incidentally went elsewhere and are going to be hosting a playoff game in 2 weeks' time. That's the problem with this version of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, is pointing fingers and pointing fingers and pointing fingers. And over the last couple of years, people, when I would point these things out, a lot of people did say that it was sour grapes on Rod's behalf because he was fired by the organization. And that's not true. And people that know better have said to me, just keep reporting what you know is the truth, because the truth will come out eventually. It's coming out, it's getting there, but it's not totally there. And I could sit, and Darren, I want your opinion on this. How many mistakes are you allowed to make as an organization before it's fatal and you lose your job? Because I think Jeremy O'Day's done a really bad job as the general manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I could give a lot of examples. Here's a big one. Number one, they haven't developed a quarterback at all. They've been signing free agent quarterbacks since O'Day's the GM, and Cody Fajardo's one. They brought him in, got lightning in a bottle, West Division MLP, give him a new contract, make him the highest paid Rough Rider ever, then decide, no, you're not the best Rough Rider ever, and they kick his ass out of town, and then they go give Trevor Harris even more money, an oft-injured, quarterback, didn't spread the wealth around the team. That quarterback gets hurt. These are all really bad decisions by the guy. Do you allow him to learn on the job and allow him those mistakes like this is Pee Wee RMF? Or do we say this is professional football? Your team's been an embarrassing disgrace the last 2 years, but we're going to bring you back anyways. Because it's the head coach's fault. Because if you think it's just Craig Dickinson's fault, I got a bridge that I can sell you to, if you're interested. What do you think?
You can always find a way to keep the job and survive as long as you've got somebody else to throw under the bus in front of you, as long as you have a finger to point somewhere. How long can you do that before somebody says, okay, look, we got to go right to the top and we got to make the decisions, right? And maybe it is. Maybe it is an issue with coaching and injuries. So then you take another year and another year and another year. And not saying that he's never going to figure it out or it's never going to turn into the right direction or get this team into the playoffs, but it hasn't been good. And especially in the Canadian Football League, as opposed to the NFL or the NHL or baseball, I don't think the rope, the leash, the patience can be as long because it's such a small league and turnarounds can and are expected to happen fast. I don't think you have 3, 4, 5 years to let a real rebuild happen because it doesn't happen in the same way as those other leagues where you draft and develop and build a system, right? It needs to happen fast. And so you really only get 2, 3 seasons to try and figure this out before an organization needs to decide to move on. And I think we're at that point with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It really has been I mean, look at when's the last time they were in the Grey Cup? Yeah, they made a couple of Western, finals, but when have they really been in the conversation as a championship team? I think that's the biggest question that this fan base has, is we're not sitting here feeling like we've had a championship team in a long time, and I think that's a problem.
So I guess, because I didn't see the end of the game the other night. I watched the first half, but apparently Kate Burness on the TSN panel was talking about the thousands of empty seats and a fan base that has been through so much the past few years, and we're not used to seeing this in Saskatchewan. That's all on Craig Dickinson? So I don't want to sit and belabor this, and I don't want to sit and talk about it every day. I understand they're going to on the Coffee Row in Saskatchewan. It's the Dallas Cowboys of the CFL, the Green Bay Packers of the CFL. Sure. But the rest of the country doesn't care. And the franchise is a dumpster fire. It's a disgrace. So it's just more finger pointing, more lighting people on fire, sending them out of town when the real problem hasn't been addressed. Okay? Are we good? Mike in Swift Current writes in, he says, I agree with you, Rod. When you have the worst offensive line that can't protect your quarterback for the last 2 years, it's time for the GM to also go. Maybe that's going to happen. We're just hearing today that Craig Dickinson's gone, and my guess is that's all they're going to do. Oh. Rick Bowness taking a leave of absence for the Winnipeg Jets. Craig Dickinson. And that's also the semantics of sports. He wasn't fired. His contract just wasn't renewed. No, he's fired. You know what I mean? You can say it however you want.
They decided at the end of the day they didn't want you coaching the team anymore.
Exactly. Our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. Now is a really good time to do a segue to the poll question and other things for Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group, driven by safety, experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. There seems to be some conjecture, some consternation over our poll question today. And I should mention that coming up later on, we've got Ottawa sports guy, former goalie, he's a member of the goalie union, Sean Simpson, to talk about the Senators, because the poll question is, which of these four up-and-comers is for real? The 5-1 Detroit Red Wings, the 3-1-1 Philadelphia Flyers, the 3-2 Vancouver Canucks, or the 3-2 Arizona Coyotes. 64% of the vote saying it's the Detroit Red Wings that are the most for real of that four. But as I look at the National Hockey League overall standings right now, because I don't, forgive me off the top of my head, yeah, Ottawa's 3-2. You could very easily put Ottawa in that group. As a matter of fact, let's make it a 5-person vote. We've seen voting ballots that have 5 entrants on it, just not from Twitter or Instagram. Let's throw Ottawa in there just for spits and giggles. I'm still going to vote for Detroit as the most legit for real team. But Ottawa's good. Ottawa's very good. Does that change your thinking at all if we put the Sens in the poll?
A little bit. It does. I mean, I'm just looking at the NHL standings right now, and it's very interesting to see Detroit and Ottawa in that Atlantic Division ahead of Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay. Isn't it? It's something we haven't seen in a while. Them at the top. Now, it's early. We're 5-6 games into the season. But, yeah, they've turned a corner. Both those teams have turned a corner. But I still think it's Detroit. They're out to a hotter start, obviously 5-1. They've got the 2 league's leading scorers right now early.
1:11 Eastern, by the way. 1:11 Eastern. Sorry, 11:11 Mountain. Continue.
So good universe thoughts are with the Detroit Red Wings right now. It all comes together. So, yeah, I'd still go with Detroit, but Ottawa's a team to watch. And I think they're going to be a lot better than we've seen in the last couple of seasons.
What we do in hour one is look back at last night's games or the weekend before, if it's a Monday. What we do in hour two is look ahead to tonight's games. By the way, there is more breaking news out of Saskatchewan, and thank you guys for updating it on this. Yes, Craig Dickinson out in Saskatchewan as head coach. Jeremy O'Day renewed
as the general manager. So there's the news there. Tonight's games, as I mentioned, I don't know if the NHL is just selling this. I was reading their game notes this morning, Moose. They're like, only one game tonight. It's Montreal to Buffalo. Tune in to watch the young stars. And I'm like, well, yeah, that gets me interested. And it had mentioned Cole Caulfield, Yuri Slafkovsky, over on Buffalo's side, Tage Thompson, Zach Benson, their first-round pick that doesn't get any pub whatsoever, the former Winnipeg Ice member from Vancouver. Do you get excited about that Montreal-Buffalo matchup tonight? Or is that just me getting sucked into the NHL game notes and hype?
I do. It's too bad for Montreal. They've got a real group of young, exciting hockey players that are fun to watch. They've got a coach. I want to say a young coach in Marty St. Louis who's, kind of early in his coaching career, who's a lot of fun to watch him kind of coach this group of kids. And then you've got Buffalo, who's a team that I think they're just like a snake in the grass. Not that they're going to be a dominant team right now, but they're a team that's got so much skill, and they've got, this real, I know you hate the word potential, but they've got this ability. I think they're just waiting in the grass. And I think out of nowhere, we're going to see them in the playoffs. We're going to see them winning a playoff series or two, and we're going to see Buffalo just mature, and it's going to seem like it happened overnight.
Buffalo Sabres are the team that I said would take that step forward and make the playoffs after years out, which incidentally, which would, be another great poll, is which unbeaten team is the most for real? Because there are a handful of those really good teams: Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights, the Boston Bruins. I still think the Boston Bruins are masquerading. And why is it? This is why I said twice last hour that I dawned on me this morning how happy I am. I'm like, why am I so happy? Why am I so sane? Oh, yeah. When I'm not on the air, I turn my phone off and put it over here. That includes not listening to 80 million opinions on every single matter under the sun, and also not responding to the calls that are coming in about who's going to be the next GM of the Riders, who's going to be the next coach, who's going to be. I don't care. And I told them that. So shutting it all off has really helped, because there's a lot of opinion out there and a lot of it is just bunk. And I'm kind of forgetting about what I brought the plane back. We went off track for a while, but we're going to land it. We're only now 2 weeks into the season. Today's the 14th day of the regular season. Tomorrow will be the start of the third week. There's overreactions everywhere. I mean, I get, Serena says her favorite pastime is the morning after Rider games, getting up and reading the comments on social media. That's her favorite pastime from those fans. For me, I can't do it anymore because of our time spent with the Flames in the last 2 years. And I would suggest we've paid our dues in that town as a legit Calgary Flames media source. I've stopped reading what the fans are saying about the Flames and what a lot of the media is saying, for that matter. Because you're seeing they got bombed in Detroit Sunday 6-2, and everybody, our team sucks, we got no talent, nothing's changed. I'm like, X out. Because, again, it's 2 weeks into the regular season. We're going to pause and come back with whatever you people want to talk about. 902-518-3033. And do it now, because 40 minutes from now, the phone's going off. Sean Simpson coming up from Ottawa, TSN Ottawa alum, and Washington Capitals 2. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Brand new week kicking off here on the RP Show, episode number 1105 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. We do it in 2 hours. It could take 3 or 4 if we really wanted to spread things out, but we don't spread things out like a lot of shows that just use a lot of filler. We try to give you a lot of bang for your buck in those 2 hours. As you can see, I'm in South Florida. The Moose is in Toronto. Let's bring him in now. Have you examined, and we got a lot of the viewers have answered the bell, and they've given us some topics here, but have you looked at the Leafs schedule? What do they got this week? Obviously, they're playing tomorrow because every team is playing Tuesday. All 32 teams are playing. Quick, Darren, who are they playing? Do you know?
Tomorrow night, I think they've got Washington, don't they?
Yes, they do. At Washington, baby.
So
and the game's all starting at staggering times. Sorry.
No, I think that's cool. The weekend game, just to go back, I mean, we go back last hour, but, they needed that overtime win over Tampa. Things were sliding a little bit there, but it'll be fun because Ovi's gotten off to a bit of a slow start this season, too. So excited to see if Ovi can get it going and start continuing that push towards Wayne.
Yeah. To recap, as Darren was saying to me on the phone earlier today, the Floridians that watch the show on YouTube think that's all we do. And Darren's like, we're a television show. That's what we are. We're on Game Plus television all across Western Canada. That is all across Canada for that matter. What is it now? It was 1.4 million new homes on Shaw. What's it total now? It's got close to 4 million homes in Canada, right?
That's right.
Yeah, which people don't understand in the States because 4 million is a borough of New York, right, Chris? In Canada, that's a large number. In America, it's right over here, which is interesting, by the way. CBS Sports Network, which airs the CFL games until college football starts up, they're in 60 million homes, bro. That is a hell of a lot of homes. CBS Sports Network. That has been a great deal. That has been a great deal for the Canadian Football League. The problem that I have is, as soon as college football fired up, they stopped carrying the CFL games, which sucks. And it is breaking news on a few fronts. Rick Bowness leaving the Winnipeg Jets, taking a leave of absence. His wife Judy suffering a stroke Sunday night. Scott Arneal taking over. He's taking care of what's most important. Hopefully speedy recovery for Judy, and Rick back on the bench soon for the Winnipeg Jets because he's doing a great job. 2, this is the day that Saskatchewan Roughriders fans have been waiting for, and my phone continues to blow up here, and for the most part, I'm not even answering the messages. One guy walking the plank, the head coach, Craig Dickinson, which largely throws the fate of the entire coaching staff into flux. But the general manager getting a contract renewal, Jeremy O'Day, despite the implosion, and obviously the president coming back too. Read my lips. I'm not going to sit here and belabor this every day. Those that know my thoughts on this. I'm done talking about it. K. They've been a disgrace, and they're going to be more of a disgrace. Now, to happier things, Arlen Bruce III in Vancouver writing in. He says, "Great morning, RP and Darren." And the CFL fans are winning, by the way. Unless you people, the NHL fans and whatever NFL fans want to talk about that, the CFL fans are winning because they're the loudest. Arlen Bruce in Vancouver. Which coach is the front runner for Coach of the Year? Is it Dinwiddie or Rick Campbell? And he says, and by the way, Ryan Phillips, he's the defensive coordinator in BC, would be a great head coach in the CFL. From Robert Campbell watching in Las Vegas says, your thoughts on Rick Campbell sitting Vernon Adams at halftime versus the Stampeders and other curious decisions. What message did he send to his players? I said to turn it over to the people. What they want to talk about, they've answered. We got to, out of respect for them, we'll answer their questions. The Coach of the Year is Ryan Dinwiddie. Why are we asking questions you know the answers to? They sealed first place in the division faster than any team in CFL history in 12 games. They clinched. Why would we even talk about it? And did you watch the game in Vancouver, by the way, Friday night, Stampeders and BC Lions? It was over at the end of the first quarter. Why they said VA? Why do you think? Wasn't the score like 30-7 at halftime or something for Calgary? It was over. They weren't coming back. So I agree with Rick Campbell on that. They're
playing for the playoff, right? They're not, I mean, yes, they were starting their guys. First place, important. But at the end of the day, if you see it's not happening, you got to keep your guys healthy. You have more important things than one game late in the season when you already punched your ticket into a playoff spot and a home playoff game. So I'm not really worried about that. And you're right, Ryan Dinwiddie is the Coach of the Year. That was the shortest discussion or debate we ever need to have about Coach of the Year.
That was fast.
Yeah.
As we sit here, for the sake of those that are writing in, Leanne in Regina says, so basically, she's trying to get her head around the news that has come down the pipe today from the Canadian Football League. She says, so basically the general manager of our Rough Riders is being rewarded with a new contract when his team hasn't made the playoffs in 2 years? Yes, Leanne, that's what we're saying. Thank you, Shane from Deer Valley, writing in. He says, let's call it Let Down Monday. There you go. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in and says, tomorrow night, ESPN and NHL will debut Frozen Frenzy. A red zone-like whip-around of NHL action hosted by John Buchagros and Kevin Weeks on ESPN2. He says, can the NHL make red zone work for hockey? It's a really good question. I got to sit here and think about it.
I'm going to watch.
Yeah, was there a difference between, you got to explain something to me, between NFL Game Day and NFL Red Zone? Because I was watching NFL Network yesterday, and I kind of like it. They zoom in on the NFL Network on red zone plays. Were they just giving a free play of red zone on NFL Network or what? I don't really understand. Because what I do, this is my sports watching, everybody. I lock in on one game. It just screws my head up for 24 hours to go zing, 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 zing. You know, game to game to game to game. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I know. I like both. I go back and forth. I don't know what I like better. Depends. You know, if I'm into a game, I like being into a game with no distractions. But I watched Red Zone yesterday, second time of this year that I've actually sat and watched Red Zone. And usually I watch the Titans play or I lock in on a game. But I liked it. I enjoyed it this time. I think it's a variety thing. I don't know if I could watch it every single week. Sometimes I just want to watch a game and the ups and downs of the game.
Yeah, well, I go back to this thing about let it make sense for me, Darren, because I'm at a point now where I kind of sit and think about, do the teams read the comments from the fans on these social media accounts? I rhetorically ask that question because I know that they do. And sometimes I wonder, between two things when I see these comments, are these fans, is it like open line radio that we hosted forever? I said to Serena the other day, we don't need open line radio anymore because we can just sit and read the comments. It's far more entertaining. You get more opinions than some drunk calling in and talking for 5 minutes on one topic on a call-in show. So are those people just wanting to get their voice heard and be stars on the radio, but using the social media for that? Or do they actually feel the way they do? Basically, given the news out of Saskatchewan today with the Rough Riders, you would think that they haven't read any of the comments whatsoever from their fans. There's that, but I digress. Because I'm about ready to not read them at all. Do you read the Leafs stuff after they lose or win, for that matter? How much do you dabble in it?
It depends, because it's different reading the news for me than reading, social media comments and threads and, opening up replies. That stuff is like junk food. You're kind of like, okay, I got to read more. But every time you're reading this, it's melting your brain every time.
Yeah.
And if you have the self-control to pull back and just float up in the clouds above it, you're going to be happier. So you have to, it's a real self-control thing, because it's addicting to go in and get into that negativity, and then you spiral, and it's not healthy for you. So it's
not.
You just need to know what you're getting into. But some of the new stuff I'll read from credible people that I respect, but I try and limit that when the game's over and I get out real quick.
Well, I really want to meet Allie from Texarkana. We raced through this at the end of hour one when you were with us. Allie just seems like our kind of gal. She goes, I think the players have burner accounts, LOL. Can I take you through my time? Like the last couple, 15 to 20 years have really sped up. For me, it's like when you hit the video playback 1.5 or 2, everybody's talking like this. It goes a lot faster than you think. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, again, my dad worked in the NHL for 26 years. I worked in Major Junior Hockey for 20, Canadian Football League for 20. I think that gives us that's a generation. Okay, just how things have changed. We had a coach. He's currently the running backs coach of the Houston Texans, Danny Barrett, who I love Danny a lot. And, of course, this is typical of the way that organization is. People would come up to me and go, Danny hates you. You should hear the things Danny says when you're not around. I'm like, well, he's great to my face. And we have one-on-one talks, and I get a lot out of our talks. So just take your opinion over there. I don't care. But Danny used to always say, I don't read the paper. I don't hear what they're saying on the radio. Oh, okay. Well, he must not, because you know me. I'm a take you at your word kind of guy. And one time we were flying to Calgary, back when they had newspapers. Kids will explain later what that is. He had a newspaper, and he's reading every word of the sports section, right down to the Regina Ladies Softball League scores. I'm sitting right beside him in the exit row because we both got long legs. Have I told you this story, Darren?
I don't think so.
Yeah. He is reading it, every article, forwards, backwards, upside down, everything. And finally, we're starting our descent into Calgary, and I said, I thought you said you don't read the paper. He just stared at me. I guess I should have just shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my all-time favorite, people were writing in here earlier about John Frenzy. John Lynch, the Hall of Fame writer broadcaster. Me and him were doing a show one time, and Lynch said that Danny Barrett, same coach, should be fired. At the end of the season, his contract shouldn't be renewed. We get off the air, go to the front of the radio station. Danny's at the front door, banging on the front door of the radio station. I'm not joking. Danny Barrett, the current running backs coach of the Houston Texans, whom I still do love to this day. I do. But I'm like, oh, DB, hang on. I let him in. We went and sat down in the lobby, and he goes, I was driving around, and my CD players broke, so I had to listen to your show. Come on, Danny. Just say it. Just say it. You listen to every single thing that's ever said, and you read everything that's written.
Yeah.
But he's got the last laugh. He's in the NFL. But there are other coaches that literally do not listen. They don't. And CFL and NFL. Jeff in the Zone writes in, and he says, Rod, what's the better deal, NFL Network or NFL Red Zone for subscription? Well, I don't have NFL Red Zone, so I'm going to say NFL Network because I was watching it the other day, and it seemed fine to me. Ali in Texarkana says, it's on my bucket list to meet RP, Moose, and Serena. Thank you, Ali. And John in Edmonton says, I don't know if you spoke about it, but do you think Connor will be back with the Oilers for the Heritage Classic on Sunday? We're waiting, John, for an update today from the Oilers. So whether we think about it or not doesn't really matter. We'll get an update today from the Oilers. Moose, I can handle it the rest of the way. Appreciate you.
You bet. You too. Appreciate you.
Sean Simpson joins us next from Ottawa as we talk about our poll question, which up-and-coming team is the most for real, because there's 5 we've designated. And Sean knows the most about Ottawa. We'll talk about that when we come back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match. But for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Quite a Monday in the world of sports. We got news from the National Hockey League. Rick Bowness taking a leave of absence from the Winnipeg Jets. His wife Judy suffering a stroke overnight. Scott Arniel taking over. Thoughts and prayers with the Bowness family. Get well soon. And from the Canadian Football League in Saskatchewan, Craig Dickinson, the head coach, is out. The general manager, Jeremy O'Day, agreeing to a new contract. Let's bring in Sean Simpson now. Love this guy. He knows that. I had the great pleasure of meeting him at the 2017 Grey Cup, and we've stayed friends ever since. Hey, Sever, good to see you, my friend. Did you see our poll question? Let me just say, here it is. Which of these up-and-comer teams is the most for real? Senators, Red Wings, Flyers, Coyotes, or Canucks? They're all off to their best start in about a decade.
Well, first of all, Philadelphia, Arizona, and Vancouver are terrible. I'm not putting anything into those starts. Detroit's a bit of a surprise for me. I got to be honest with you, a little bit of goaltending. I've got Buffalo closer to Ottawa, but I'm not feeling Philly rolled through here, and honestly, I don't know how they're doing it. Smoke and mirrors. Arizona, great coach. Canucks off to a nice start. That's not sustainable. So as I said, between Detroit and Ottawa, the big thing is Mr. DeBrincat, unfortunately, and the way he's playing Rod right now. They are certainly flowing nicely. But I got to say, Ottawa, been pretty impressed with them so far. Only 3-2, but certainly one of the better starts that they've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, and they need it, don't they? The coach needs it. The GM needs it. And I find it a little interesting. You mentioned DeBrincat, though. He's averaging like 3 points a game to the start of the season. It's just ironic that he left one of these teams for the other. Who sustains it the longest, do you think?
Well, I think certainly he can. Do you mean as a team or individually?
As a team, which team stays in contention longer?
I still think Ottawa's. Yeah, I still think Ottawa's a little deeper. But again, Detroit. When you're riding on a shooting percentage like that, Rod, and when you're riding on a power play like that, I don't know. But as far as DeBrincat, quite simply, I don't think he was in shape last year, and certainly came in. The trade was a shock. It was crazy what was going on in Chicago. He got a head around, got a new contract. There's no doubting his talent. And one of the things we saw last year, Rod, without being a great skater, and his speed is better this year, the guy's a hell of a playmaker. He ran the half wall of the power play here last year in Ottawa, and you realize, hey, this guy's not just about scoring. He's a hell of a hockey player. So he's got in the right spot. They are basically that, the power play and a high shooting percentage. They're a nice hockey team, but I still at the end of the day think Ottawa is going to be better in the long run.
Well, we're only, as you know, 2 weeks into the regular season, and I can't pay attention to everything, but the Sens' opponents so far, have they had a soft schedule, a tough schedule? How would you typify that?
I would say it's right in between. Certainly that first game against Carolina, I thought, man, Carolina's not all that great. Then took over the second half of the hockey game. And then you had a measurement against Tampa Bay. You certainly had Philadelphia, a not very good Washington, then Detroit. So I'd say a mix. Certainly when you look at the schedule, Rod, they've got 13 games before they head over to Sweden, which is kind of a funny trip in itself. Not a huge fan of teams going to Europe in November. But of those 13 games, 9 are at home. So they certainly got to put up some points. They got to get people believing. What has been different this year, you certainly discuss and you break everything down, and at times the sky is falling, but there's no doubt their starts this year have been outstanding. Every first period, maybe half of hockey games, they've come out with some fire. They've controlled hockey games, and overall, I don't think there's a ton to complain about other than maybe some soft goals on Korpisalo against Detroit and Carolina. Outside of that, I've been pretty pleased with what I've seen, and that's without Shane Pinto in the lineup right now.
You and I are both goalie guys. It would be nice to see Ottawa settle on a goalie and go with him for years.
Yeah.
Because teams do that.
Yeah.
Do you think they ever will in Ottawa?
Well, you hope so. But it was funny. I was looking this morning and I was thinking to myself, if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, you've got this team that's kind of built to win. And I'm thinking, I don't think they've drafted a good goaltender since Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr in 80 and 81. Talk about goalie starved. Now, Cujo came through, Billy Ranford, and Billy won a cup, of course. But yeah, it has been tough here in Ottawa. Craig Anderson came in for 10 years, was very stable. Since he's left, you've had Matt Murray, you've had Talbot. I think at the end of the day, Forsberg's been a nice find on waivers. And I do like Korpisalo. But flat out, he's got to be better. These goals up top, short side, some of the things that are happening with him, you paid him to be a number one. I like the duel. I think it's enough to get into the playoffs. Is it enough to take the promised land? Probably a little premature to say that at this point.
I feel like you and I are just sitting in a coffee shop, and everybody watching, they can just go over there. It's just you and me, Simmer.
Yeah.
On
now,
the
was that your boat?
thing.
Was that your boat? Was that your boat? Was that your boat in the clip? Are you doing your show from that?
You're the second guy to ask that today. I think that's not, but we're working on it. But talking about South Florida, it's so awesome here. Bob
really
is
yeah.
the man. Bob's the man. $10.5 million per year.
Yeah,
and he can't do it alone, but he almost did it in the playoffs last year. How do you feel about finding a goalie? Like, I like what they did here. They picked what they thought was the best goalie in the league, and they paid him. That's not always going to work, and he hasn't always lived up to it, but he did in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, you know what? The problem is, like you said, the formula, Rod, is it's not perfect. And you try to come up with, should you, in the case of Vasilevsky, have a big money goaltender? Absolutely. But Broski, let's be honest, they squeaked into the playoffs. Probably shouldn't have made it last year unless Pittsburgh crapped the bed against Chicago and Columbus. So I don't like the formula. I don't like the way he's played since he's arrived there. They're kind of smoke and mirrors. But everywhere you look, what's also so interesting, who would have thought in our lifetime? I'm a 68 vintage. I could argue right now that the 4 best goaltenders in the National Hockey League are all Russian. Sorokin, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, and I'll throw Georgiev in as a wild card. Who would have thunk? So, like I said, every formula when it comes to the salary cap, Connor Hellebuck's been great every year, but it feels like they run him into the ground come playoff time. Then you look at the craziness of what Vegas has put together. So I'm not big on a $10 million goaltender, not even big on a $9 million. You can get into that sweet spot of around 7.5 and have a capable backup is great. But without a doubt, I wouldn't want my starter playing more than 55 games in a year. I think if you want to have a playoff run, 55, 60 is the absolute max.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, just with the hockey guys down here, I'm talking about the Canadians that live here in South Florida, they said going into the playoffs last year, they're like, if Bob gets hot, he's going to make it all worth
for
it.
Sure. Yeah,
and he did.
Well, if worth it to get into the finals once, and I was with the Caps in '98, and Ole Kolzig led us to the finals, which is great. But I also knew at the time it wasn't sustainable. So if you do that one-off, like even Carolina, you win a cup with Cam Ward, and they had pretty good hockey teams. I say it's great. The Oilers and Flames went to the finals. Nobody will remember that, and it just too hard. I'll say this, and I never believed it before, Rod. I think in the 32-team league, I do believe now if you're one of the 16 best, you've got an opportunity, but you got to get there. And that is the real difference that has happened now. It's not easy to make the playoffs in the National Hockey League where instead of 16 out of 21, we now end up having half of the teams are going to end up missing it.
But it helps if you have a stud goalie. And look at Colorado. They're 5-0 with the aforementioned Georgiev. So good for them.
Sure, yeah.
I guess they didn't go pay somebody. But listen, I got to ask you this, Simmer, about Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah.
This Vasilevsky news seemed to catch everybody off guard. And I think even maybe them. The Lightning. I'm serious. Yeah. So Coop says we're just going to eliminate, take it with the middle of the ice, eliminate cut down shot attempts and scoring chances. I'm like, that'll work for a week. Teams are going to figure that out. Can they do that, sustain until Vasilevsky's back?
Well, again, what I saw when they came in here, it didn't feel like it. When you look at their back end, I mean, it's not even close to what. And quite simply, I do think the long summer. I do think, and this night they didn't have Stamkos either, Rod. If they're healthy, I still think they're a good enough team to make the playoffs. But when you take the salary cap era, you look at kind of the all-in moves, I do think they're fresh. I think their top end is still awfully good. But when you start to look at the decay of the salary cap, some of the defensemen they've lost over the years, I think it'll be really tough to end up doing that. If you're Tampa Bay Lightning, I think all you're asking is, listen, keep it around 500, keep us in the mix, allow us to maybe in whatever that is, a final 60, then you're probably good to go. Just keep your head above water. I think that's all you're asking if you're Cooper at this point.
Yeah, but I think bad days are here for Tampa. Or what do you think? From what you said, you've seen
I don't think it's quite there yet. But again, I also a little bit careful, Rod, on how you kind of judge the division. I love to talk hockey every day like you do, but it's hard to. I don't know what to make of this division yet. Boston's lost a ton. They're off to a great start. Is that sustainable? The Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't think, helped themselves in the offseason with Domi and Bertuzzi and some of the other Klingberg, the moves they've made. So are they still real good? Probably win the division, yes. But then after that, where is Buffalo? Where is Detroit? Where is Ottawa? Where's Florida? I certainly don't have Montreal in the mix at this time. And then you look at Detroit. So I think the darn thing is so wide open that I wouldn't even want to forecast it at this point. All I'd say was this: hey, until somebody shows me they're better than Tampa, Toronto, and Boston, at least in the division, then I'm in wait-and-see mode. And early on, we see some signs, but let's get back to probably American Thanksgiving as you're on your boat carving up a big old turkey dinner there, and we can figure out where it's at. I think the division right now, with the salary cap world and all the changes that happen in an offseason, I think this thing, just like the rest of the league, I think it's absolutely wide open at this point.
Well, they were saying in the rink the other night that of the 8 teams in the Atlantic Division, 7 legitimately think they're a playoff team. Montreal's the only one that doesn't.
Yeah,
and there's just not enough seats at the table. So for them to beat the Leafs the other night 3-1, and by the way, do it handily and slap the Leafs around, and the Panthers feel pretty good about their team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for Paul Maurice and that whole crew, I mean, again, a team like Matthew Tkachuk, he showed last year, he's going to keep you in the fight all season. He's going to, his dad's calling out the team with 2 weeks left in the year, and all of a sudden they squeak into the playoffs. They eliminate the Boston Bruins. So I agree. I'd say 7 of 8. And again, at the same time, when you look at the Metropolitan Division, you've got the decline. Seeing Washington the other day, just a shell of themselves. Where is Pittsburgh? Certainly the Rangers aren't as good as they were in the playoffs. So could you end up with the crossover of 5 teams from the Atlantic at this point? I think that's a possibility. And like I said, that's the fun part of going into each season. Everybody gets excited about free agent signings, things that are happening. Without a doubt, within the division, you've got Ottawa, you got Buffalo, you got Detroit that are certainly moving up the charts. As to how fast they're going to move up, I guess we'll find out. I don't know what to make of Florida. And as I said, until you can unseat the big boys, then not much to talk about.
Absolutely. Always fun, Simmer. Appreciate it, man. Good seeing you. Keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks very much, Rod. Always a pleasure to be on your show. Keep up the great work, brother.
Thank you, man. Sean Simpson, NHL, what should I say, personnel alum, TSN Ottawa alum. We'll be right back with Overtime after this sports update and all of your comments. Hang on. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Yo, it's overtime. Don't mind me. I'm just updating our Instagram story with the breaking news. And I'll get to that in our sports update in a moment. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. I don't ask for much. Please go to Instagram, look up at The Rod Pedersen Show, and give us a follow. That's all I ask. The Rod Pedersen Show. Vote on our polls. Support our sponsors. That would keep us all very happy and in business. Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Hey, we got some hockey weather coming now, I see. Go check them out, 28th Street Northeast. You're going to be looking for something to do indoors. Just a stone's throw, a slap shot from the old Crossroads Flea Market. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Call ahead, book your lanes. They got room for kids, moms, dads, the whole family. Team outings, staff outings. Call ahead, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They bring you overtime daily on the RP Show. You can reach us here, 902-518-3033. This is the final segment of today's program. And before I get to the comments here, let's read the aforementioned sports update. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are making changes after a 6-12 season left them just short of the playoff cut. On Monday, the team announced Craig Dickinson is out as head coach. He will not have his contract renewed. There's no immediate word on a replacement. Roughriders also say that general manager Jeremy O'Day has agreed to a new contract. O'Day also serves as vice president of football operations. Saskatchewan had its playoff hopes dashed on Saturday with a 29-26 loss to the Toronto Argonauts. It was the Roughriders' 7th loss in a row. Meanwhile, Placeline Winnipeg. Winnipeg coach Rick Bowness is taking a leave of absence after his wife had a seizure, the NHL's Jets said Monday. Judy Bowness remains in a hospital for testing after having a seizure on Sunday night, the team said. Associate coach Scott Arniel will serve as interim head coach in his absence. The Jets are off to a 2-3 start to the season and play Tuesday against the visiting St. Louis Blues. Our sports updates are brought to you by Common Crown Brewing, a commitment to connection and celebration of uniqueness. Visit commoncrown.ca, celebrating 7 years in business. They are also on 28th Street Northeast in beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Regarding that CFL news today, Brian in Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan writes in and says, Rod, all I got to say about this Rider news is good luck selling tickets. The fans will not buy this. What are they saying out there in the YouTube stream? Allie in Texas says, another great RP show. Hope everyone has an amazing week. Jeff in the zone says, great show, Rod. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Jeff. See you mañana. Is John Ohm around? Where's John Ohm around? Last minute of play on the RP show. John in Edmonton says, Rod, hobby, you coach the Saskatchewan Roughrider. I can't afford the pay cut, bro. But thanks for asking. And as you can see, this is home now. I see no reason for that to change. Chad in Lethbridge writes in and says, we got 3 things you can count on these days: death, taxes, and the Riders not winning under this current regime. Well, it looks like he got another 2 to 3 years of this. John Ohm says, Rod on point. Thank you, sir. Bill, the Argos fan, says, have a good day. You too, Bill. He's a Leafs fan too, I believe. I think that's it. I'm done talking for today. It's been fun. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?